Now, a lot of people say in order to make it in the entertainment industry, you have to have a relative in the business. Well, George Clooney has several relatives in the business, including his father, Nick, who's a TV anchor. But for the star of television's ER and the movie's new Batman, his family actually didn't help him as much with his career as they did help keep him grounded.
The advantage I have with my family is only that my Aunt Rosemary was very successful and then not very successful. My Uncle Jose Ferrer was very successful and then not very successful and very successful again. And it's this. And what I get to learn from all that is that when things go badly, if you stick around long enough, they'll probably go well again. Mostly you have very successful periods of time and then you have big downtime. What my family has done probably best for me is prepared me for that downtime.
Downtime pretty much describes the first decade of Clooney's career. He arrived in Hollywood via Kentucky in the early 80s, another actor looking for work.
When I started, I was doing films, and I was up for a lot of films, and then I got into television, and started off in sitcoms, and I thought, well, that was the way I was going to go, doing comedies, and then I came over to Warner Brothers for a comedy, and then I ended up doing a bunch of hour drama shows, and then your career kind of takes a different turn, and suddenly you're kind of a nighttime soap guy. It's funny for me to sit around and say, oh, you know, I've had a tough time of it. I haven't been unemployed for 11 years, you know. So even when you're doing shows that aren't very good, and I've done a lot of those, and I've been very bad in them, but when you do those, at least you're making a good living. You're not waiting on tables, you know, doing other things. So you feel as if you're in the game a little bit.
In the game, yes, but definitely not winning it. All that changed, however, in 1994, when Clooney put on the scrubs for the role of Dr. Douglas Ross on ER.
I needed to get out of kind of sometimes mediocre television. The last few shows I'd done were better, but I needed a chance to do something that was better, you know, to make up for my bad acting. So I needed to get on a better show. And I didn't really ever think I would land this show. Quite honestly, I figured I'd remain doing some kind of hour drama or something, but I didn't think I'd land a show like this. I don't think there's an actor in the world that would not jump at the opportunity to do this, whether they've read the script or not, just the people involved.
But even after the show's first healthy ratings, Clooney knew that making ER a hit would be no easy operation.
We thought that the Hour magazine shows would kick us big time. We thought that, I think it was Primetime Live, then we thought they'd kill us. So we were surprised that we came out as strongly as we did. So there have been a number of surprises along the way. Usually you do a show, you'll do the pilot, and when you see the pilot, you know, when you read it, you think, okay, if Barry Levinson's directing it, and it'll be great if. And the problem is when you read the script, you have to read it as if, what is it at its worst? What will it be at its worst? And this is a project where it got better every one of those steps. It became a better project. You know? The editing made the show better, and they, you know, cut around all my bad acting, which I love. It's very important.
For Clooney, a veteran of numerous successful and unsuccessful TV shows, ER had a lifeline unlike all the others.
Well, it all comes down to writing. I mean, those guys, they stay there and write all the time, because you can do anything in television, probably films as well. The performance can't save it. You know, it comes down to great writing, and when it's great writing, all you have to do is show up and do it. The work itself is a whole other thing, because we're doing 8, 9 pages a day, a lot of Steadicam shots where you have to say ventricular tachyarrhythmia and, you know, and get it out of your mouth without screwing it up.
Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Eleanor Mondale. You're watching George Clooney Uncut. Now, since ER made its debut in the fall of 1994, the show is being watched by millions. It's winning Emmys, it's winning Golden Globes. It's very successful. And part of that success is due to George Clooney's appeal. But there's a part of George Clooney that nobody sees, and that part is behind the camera.
There's never a dull moment when George Clooney is around. It's fun. I mean, you know what? We're doing a lot of depressing, hard stuff, and he brings in a real light.
I think he'd make a great pediatrician because he's like a giant child himself.
Ooh, that was nice.
You release George in a room full of props, and he can spend at least 20 minutes or more. Yeah, he'll go on forever.
Quickly now, let's do something with the hair. I want it a little curly on the top.
it's just nice to, after having a hard day, you know, there's George with tape, you know, from his nose to his forehead, looking like a stuffed pig.
Well, anytime we've got a guy like George Clooney who's just cracking jokes one after the other, you know, the long hours seem like short hours and the day flies by.
And 5, 6, 7, 8.
You know, he keeps things light and fun, but, you know, when we have a serious scene to work, he gets very serious. He does have a serious moment.
We steer very clear of preaching to anyone because it's something we'd rather not comment on somebody dying, because I think that's the secret, because that's what happens in life. You know, we don't say, you see, if you hadn't smoked, you wouldn't be this way. We just show some guy smoking, and we show him that way, and we deal with it. And we just go, all right, next. But I think if there's anything that they come away with, it is kind of a better sense of, and actually a fair sense of what these doctors do. The hard part for us is we go in and we do technical rehearsals before we get the script on specific scenes to get the medical stuff in, because that's the tough part. When you're intubating somebody or you're, you know, any of those things. Anytime you stick even an IV on somebody, you have to look like you know what you're doing.
For Clooney and the rest of the cast, the hard work panned out. From the very first episodes, ER earned thumbs up from critics while performing CPR in Clooney's career.
Anytime somebody says something nice about you, you're happy. It doesn't really matter what they're saying as long as they're not saying he's a schmuck, you know, which happens, you know, if you're an actor, mostly in your career, you hear no, you know. You'll audition for 100 things and you'll get 2, which means you had 98 no's. You have a lot of people for most of your life telling you you weren't adequate, or you weren't right, or you weren't the one. You spend your whole life, your whole career trying to get on a show like this that people pay attention to and put you on Newsweek and stuff. And it's a dream come true. It's fun for us, you know. It's tiring just because of our hours on this show, you know, are so long. There were a little beat, and then they say, okay, let's go do a photo shoot. But you know, it's be careful what you wish for, you know. We're having the time of our lives, so.
With the second season of ER underway, Clooney's popularity was on the rise, and the moment had finally arrived to make his big move onto the big screen.
I have to do a feature film, you know, during the hiatus, only because everything's very temporary, and this show will last for, you know, as long as it does, and we'll probably have a pretty good run with it. But along the way, we have very small windows of opportunities, and this, for me, is a great time in the next couple of years to get a chance to do some, to get into feature film. So I have to capitalize on that.
When we come back, we'll find out what a difference a film makes. Stay with us. Early on in his career, George actually did some B movies, including Red Surf and Return of the Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. And while I'm sure his performances were memorable, it actually wasn't until he did so well on ER that George got his first major motion picture. He played in a movie called From Dusk Till Dawn, and his character was slightly different than the one he plays on ER.
Yeah, he's mean, he's angry a little bit, but he's mostly just protecting his brother, you know, who's sick and diminished. You know what this is? This is Of Mice and Men. That's what this is. And my brother, he's playing with the rabbits. That's all it is. He's lame. And I'm just protecting my brother. So I'm not so mean. I just keep trying to fix things he breaks.
In the film, Clooney's character steps into a bar frequented by vampires. Playing in a movie with the creatures and taking them seriously were 2 different issues.
I want me a cake. That's what I want. Do I believe in vampires? I never have. I get scared by them, but, you know, there's scarier things. Like a Friday night at 10 o'clock time slot. That's much scarier.
Stepping off the set of ER and onto a movie location gave Clooney the chance to learn how a whole new group of performers operated. Chief among them, the film's writer, producer, and co-star, Quentin Tarantino.
Quentin entered into this one very seriously. He wanted to really work on the part that he was going to play. Now, it's not necessarily my style. You know, I kind of show up and hit my marks and stuff. But it was important to Quentin, and I'm more than happy to do whatever somebody else wants to try, you know. And I think it helped both he and I ultimately doing the part playing brothers, because we spent a long time together. You know, we went to the MTV Awards together, you know, all the important things that brothers do. Well, we both have kind of same kind of nervous energy. You know, I'm always like this, and he's always kind of, you know, yeah, I like this guy, man. We're like, whoa.